I'm delighted to officially welcome Joel Zelnick here. Joel literally was a graduate in 1957 and was off to a career and a life that was unconnected to the school for over 50 years, and showed up out of the blue and said, I've reached a stage in my life, and there's of course a story behind how he reached that stage, where I would like to give back. And he reached back to the memories of having worked under Milton Derber, and said that was a formative event in my life, and I'd like to honor it with a gift to the school. And that started a whole journey of really getting to be with Joel. And what he stands for and what he brings back to us is wonderful. We're not done.
Oh, I thought I was finished.
No, I'm going to embarrass you a little bit longer.
Okay.
When he was here, he finished his master's thesis in 30 weeks. One of, certainly at that time only 3 other people had done so, and I don't think many have since. He worked under Milton Derber and wrote a thesis on perceptions by labor and management of union management contracts and relations under them. And actually was a pioneering study showing how what was written in the agreement didn't necessarily correspond to what happened in practice, and that you really needed to understand what happened in practice to understand labor management relations. And it was done with survey data, with regression analysis, with fairly sophisticated work. In a sense, what was then a master's thesis, I won't say that it would be today a PhD, but it would be a portion of a PhD. It was held in a high standard of rigor, and his wife Barbara, who I think should share with you in the credit, Joel has told us Milton Derber was notorious for marking up the drafts and insisting on revisions and further adjustments. Barbara was a speedy typist, and as fast as Milton could make changes, Joel would come up with the revisions, Barbara would type them, and he would get them back. And finally, Milton Derber just ran out of additional things to change and had to give you credit. Joel left here and went on to a career at IBM, at American Airlines with their Sabre system, coming off of the IBM relationship, and a number of other companies. Right. And really was decades ahead of the time for pioneering the space that we now refer to as socio-technical systems, because he worked both in industry and then as a consultant, helping to implement large-scale computer installation systems, but using his HR and industrial relations training. And it was really a unique combination. You had your own consulting business, right. And you've seen ups and downs in the marketplace. And I think all throughout, Joel always did it himself. His business survived and failed on the market pressures that were out there. Right. And he brings a strong sense of self-reliance and accomplishment to everything that he's done. And I think brings a message of not only self-reliance, but also appreciation for taking risks and the importance of people trying new things and learning. And it's a unique combination. Now, what Joel doesn't know is that besides the plaque that honors his 2 very generous gifts, these are deferred gifts that allow for both the creation of a named professorship, right. In the organizational and human resource area, honoring his wife Barbara, and also a student scholarship, also in both of their names. But what Joel doesn't know, besides the fact that that you've seen, and of course that we are honored to present to you.
Thank you.
But what we also found, and have here as a copy for you, is a copy of your thesis.
Oh, thank you.
Which and It's signed by Milton Derber and Robin Fleming, who was then head of the school. It's entitled A Comparison of Leaders' Perceptions of Union Management Practices and the Contract Provisions Relating to These Practices. And as I said, there's regression modeling in here and all sorts of stuff. It's very impressive. It's,
well, thank you.
I actually think it's still a valuable contribution to the literature. And I'm going to explore having a PDF of it available throughout the library so that people can use it because it's worth citing.
Thank you. I'm just thankful for what you have said, etc. And I'm slightly embarrassed, but that's okay.
I promise that will be the case.
I have a prepared speech, etc. I also had a prepared speech, but my best preparer doesn't want to do it, and I have to end up doing it. And my best preparer happens to be sitting in the back, who did a great job because I was giving the commencement speech, and I was caught in New Jersey about weather conditions, and Yancy did a fantastic job, and probably a better job than I could do in presenting my speech. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank him on the wonderful job that he did do in presenting my last speech, and I just hope for some reason I could do this one, but I guess I can't. Because the weather happens to be too good. The last time I had the excuse, the weather was icy and it was storms, etc., so I could sneak out. This time I guess I'm caught. Eh?
Yes.
The question arises very simply is whether or not I'm going to change the format a little bit, which is my prerogative. Because I'm up front here and you're back there. So I can do things in any way I see fit. But I would like to thank also the Dean for his nice presentation. And also, I don't want to bore you with a long speech so that you can enjoy some of the appetizers, etc. Because